Dear students, welcome to the second lecture on Statistical Thermodynamics Part B. In this lecture, we will see about Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics. Before discussing Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics, let us have a look on what we have learned in last lecture. In last lecture, we saw that statistical thermodynamics acts as a bridge between microscopic world and macroscopic world. Thus, statistical thermodynamics links quantum mechanics with classical thermodynamics. We have also discussed about several important terms which are useful in understanding statistical thermodynamics. We have seen if there is a collection of particles, each single particle is referred to as a system, and collection of these systems as a whole is termed as assembly. Collection of very large number of assemblies which are independent of each other but which have been made macroscopically or thermodynamically identical are known as ensembles. It was introduced by Willard Gibbs in 1902. There are several types of ensembles, but mainly we can classify it into three major classes: microcanonical, canonical, and grand canonical. Microcanonical ensemble is more or less like an isolated system in classical thermodynamics. Here neither energy nor matter can be exchanged. So here the energy, volume and number of particles remains the same because the walls are rigid, impermeable and insulated. In canonical ensemble we see that there can be exchange of energy. So the temperature, volume and number of particles remains the same. The walls are rigid, impermeable but conducting type. So this is of the type of closed system. In grand canonical system we see that the walls are rigid, permeable as well as conducting. So here both energy and matter can be exchanged. So here the temperature, volume and the chemical potential remains the same between the assemblies. So it is like the open system in classical thermodynamics. We have dealt with these terms in detail in last lecture. Here we will just go through these terms. First is macrostate. It is just the number of ways of obtaining a distribution by just specifying the number of molecules in each energy state. Suppose we have 3 particles and 2 energy state. We can arrange it in different possible ways. You can put 3 and 0, 2 and 1, 1 and 2, 0 and 3. These are known as macrostates. Now, a particular macrostate can be achieved in a number of ways, and if the molecules are distinguishable, then the number of ways are much more greater, and that is known as a microstate. Here we have not just to specify the number, but here we have to specify to which energy state the molecules temporarily belongs. Another important term is thermodynamic probability. It is the number of microstates corresponding to a particular macrostate, and it is represented by W. Another important term, degree of degeneracy. You all are aware of degenerate energy levels. When an energy level consists of several energy states having same energy, it is known as degenerate energy level. And the number of energy states having the same energy is known as degree of degeneracy. And it is known as statistical weight factor and represented by GI. Now let's see some important concepts and formulas which are useful in deriving all the statistics. The first essential condition for distribution is the total number of particles and the total energy should remain constant. That means summation Ni should be equal to total number N, and summation NiEi should be equal to total energy E. Another important principle is principle of equal a priori probability, according to which all possibilities for the distribution of energy are equally probable. Thermodynamic probability, the number of microstates for a given macrostate can be obtained using the formula W is equal to n factorial divided by n1 factorial, n2 factorial, etc. equal to Ni factorial divided by, we can write it as product of Ni factorial. Another important approximation is Stirling's approximation. To eliminate this n factorial, we have to use the log n factorial term, and log n factorial is approximately equal to n log n minus n, which we have seen in last lecture. Now, if all the possibilities for distribution of energy are equally probable, then how can we find the most probable distribution? For that, we have to differentiate this thermodynamic probability with respect to n and equate it to 0. In a nutshell, let us see what statistical thermodynamics is. We have seen that quantum mechanics, it deals with microscopic matter, and here what we get is the property of the individual microscopic matter. On the other hand, statistical mechanics deals with bulk matter, and here we get the average property of the bulk matter. And classical thermodynamics deals with the bulk or the macroscopic system, and here we get the property of the bulk or the macroscopic system as a whole. Now we can use the results from quantum mechanics, that is the properties of individual microscopic matter. We can apply this to the classical thermodynamic system, that is the bulk system, and get the property of the bulk system as a whole by just using the statistical approach from the statistical mechanics. This is what statistical thermodynamics is. Now, statistical thermodynamic treatment depends upon two main factors. One is the nature of microscopic constituents, and other is the occupancy of the energy level. Now, depending upon these factors, different statistics will be applied to different systems. Now let's see what are the types of particle statistics. Particle statistics can be classified into two, classical and quantum, depending upon whether it depends upon the internal structure or not. If internal structure is ignored, it is known as classical statistics, and where internal structure is considered, it is known as quantum statistics. Now Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics comes under this classical statistics. Now let's see what are the characteristics for these statistics. Particles here are considered to be distinguishable, and there is no restriction on occupancy. That means how many number of particles should occupy an energy level, that is not restricted here. Bose-Einstein statistics and Fermi-Dirac statistics both come under quantum statistics because here the internal structures are considered. In both the cases, we see that the particles are indistinguishable. Then what is the difference between the two? In Bose-Einstein statistics, there is no restriction on occupancy, how many particles should enter each energy level. Whereas in Fermi-Dirac statistics, there is restriction on occupancy. Now, since here the internal structure are considered, in both the cases, we see that Bose-Einstein statistics is followed by those particles which have integral spin, and Fermi-Dirac statistics is followed by those particles which have half integral spin. Now let's see what are the different probability distributions. If there are n distinguishable particles, then it can be arranged in n factorial ways. Now if there are n distinguishable particles and out of this small n distinguishable particles are to be selected, then W is given by n factorial divided by n minus small n factorial small n factorial. Now if we have n distinguishable particles and it has to be distributed into groups, but here without restriction, then we see that W is given by n factorial divided by n1 factorial, n2 factorial, and so on. And such distribution is known as Boltzmann distribution. The particles which follow it is known as Boltzmannions. An example for this is gas molecules. Now let us see. If there are n indistinguishable particles and they can be arranged in G energy states such that G is very much greater than n, and here it is given with restriction with not more than one particle in each state, then the distribution is given by W is equal to G factorial divided by G minus n factorial n factorial. This distribution is known as Fermi-Dirac distribution. and the particles which follow this are known as fermions, and those with half integral spin, example electron is the example for this. Now if there are n indistinguishable particles and they have to be arranged in G energy states, again G is greater than n, but here with no restriction, and such type of distribution is given by W is equal to G plus n minus 1 factorial G minus 1 factorial n factorial, which is known as Bose-Einstein distribution. The particles are known as bosons, and those with integral spin are the example photon. Now let's see what is Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. Let us consider a bulk or macroscopic system which is composed of n distinguishable particles and having total energy capital E maintained at temperature capital T. Here the system is considered as isolated. That means there is no exchange of energy or matter. There is no interaction between the particles. That means there is no attraction or repulsion between the particles. There is no restriction on occupancy of energy level. For example, here we can see there are 3 distinguishable particles and the total energy is taken as 3E. If we sum up all the energies, we should get only 3E. In all the 3 cases, we see that we get 3E as the total energy. Now there is no restriction on occupancy of energy level, means if we see the 0th level, here there are 2 particles, here there is 1, here there is none. Here there is nil, here 1 and 3. That means there is no restriction on how many particles should be there in each energy level. Second important thing is that total number of particles and energy is constant here. In every case we are having only 3 particles and the total energy in each case is 3E. Such type of particles are known as Bosmannons, and example of this is system composed of gas. We have just seen 3 possible ways of arranging 3 distinguishable particles with total energy 3E. Now out of this, which will be the most probable macrostate? The one with the maximum number of microstate, or that which gives the maximum thermodynamic probability or maximum value of W will be the most probable macrostate. To find which will be the most probable macrostate, we have to use the condition. We have to differentiate W with respect to n and equate it to 0, or differentiate log W with respect to n and equate it to 0. Now let's see how we can derive Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law. Let us consider the distribution of the total energy E among the various energy levels which are given by E0, E1, E2, etc. of the n distinguished particles maintained at temperature T. The condition is that the total number of particles n and the total energy E must remain constant. That means summation of Ni should be equal to total n and summation of Ni should be equal to total energy E. This condition is very essential. We will be dealing it with again. So let this be equation number 1. Now if the particle gets arranged in such a way that n0 particles are present in energy level E0, n1 particles in E1 level, n2 in E2 and so on, then the number of ways of achieving the distribution is given by W is equal to n factorial divided by n0 factorial, n1 factorial, n2 factorial. Let this be equation number 2. Taking logarithm on both sides of equation 2, we get log W is equal to log n factorial minus log n0 factorial plus log n1 factorial plus log n2 factorial plus dash dash dash. Here in the denominator we have the product of n0, n1, n2 factorials, and we know that log m into n is log m plus log n. So we can write these as sum of all the logarithmic terms of factorials. Similarly, here it is division. Log m divided by n is log m minus log n. So we can write the above equation 2 like this in logarithmic form. Now we can write this as log n factorial, and this we can write it as summation log ni factorial. Let this be equation number 3. Now according to Stirling's approximation, we know that log n factorial is equal to n log n minus n. So here we are having two terms, log n factorial and summation log ni factorial. This can be substituted by means of Stirling's approximation. Log n factorial we have seen. Similarly, we can write for log ni factorial, just replacing this n by ni, here ni, ni and ni, and here we have to put the summation. So let us put the summation over this. So here summation, and here summation, and summation of ni, it is nothing but equal to total number n. So we have equation 5 as summation ni log ni minus n. So we have the two values. This we have got in equation 4 and this we have in equation 5. So we will put these two in equation 3 and we will get log w is equal to n log n minus n minus summation ni log ni, and this minus of minus, it will be plus n. Okay, so we have log w is equal to n log n and n cancels out, and we have log w is equal to n log n minus summation ni log ni. Let this be equation number 6. Now let us see how we can get the most probable distribution of the particles. We have seen that most probable distribution is the one for which w is maximum, and the condition for maxima is that differentiation of w or del log w will have to be 0. So we will differentiate equation 6, which is log w is equal to n log n minus summation ni log ni. Let's see what will be the result. It will result in, we will just differentiate this equation and we see that we get del log w is equal to, n is a constant and differentiation of constant is 0. So we have only one term minus del summation ni log ni. Now we will differentiate this term. Now we have put the condition of 0. Now we will differentiate this term. We will keep ni constant, differentiate log ni term, product of two functions. Then we will keep log ni constant and differentiate ni. Okay. So here del log ni, it can be written as 1 ni del ni. So here ni and ni will cancel out. So we have, this is equal to summation del ni plus summation log ni del ni equal to 0. Now this summation of del ni is equal to 0 because the total change in number of particles is equal to 0. So we are left again with one term. So this is equal to minus log ni del ni summation equal to 0. Know that distribution must satisfy the two important conditions. The total number of particles and total energy must remain constant. That means del n and del E must be equal to 0. So we can write del n, that is summation of del ni terms, equal to 0, and del E is equal to summation ei del ni equal to 0. Now whenever we have a condition of maxima under certain constraints, we use Lagrange method of undetermined multipliers, according to which we will multiply equation 11 by alpha and equation 12 by beta. So we get alpha del n is equal to summation alpha del ni equal to 0, and beta we will multiply here, del beta into del E is equal to summation beta ei del ni equal to 0. Now we will add this to equation number 10, which is summation log ni del ni equal to 0. Then we will sum up all these terms. We will take summation sign outside the bracket. Del ni is common in all, so we will take it out. So we have within bracket alpha plus beta ei plus log ni. This should be equal to 0. Now these del ni terms, these are variables and they are independent of each other. So these terms cannot be equal to 0. So how this equation can be satisfied is the terms within the summation must be 0. So we see that alpha plus beta ei plus log ni is equal to 0. Now on rearranging we get log ni is equal to minus alpha minus beta ei. Now removing log from equation 17, we have removed the log, ni will be equal to, here we will get the exponential term, exponential minus alpha plus beta ei, where beta has the value of 1 by kt and here k is Boltzmann constant. So we have the equation ni is equal to e to the power minus alpha e to the power minus ei upon kt. Now we know that the energy levels, they can be degenerate, and to incorporate this degeneracy and get the general distribution law, we will introduce a factor which is known as statistical weight factor, denoted by Gi for each energy level. So we can write the equation as Ni is equal to Gi e to the power minus alpha e to the power minus ei upon kt, and this equation 19, is known as Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. Thus Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law is given by Ni is equal to Gi e to the power minus alpha e to the power minus ei upon kt. This equation gives the distribution of Ni particles in energy level Ei. Now for all the particles present in the system, we have to take summation over all the energy level right from the 0th energy level. So on taking summation, we will put summation on left hand side and right hand side, and in left hand side we have summation Ni, which is equal to total number of particle n. So we have n is equal to summation Gi e to the power minus alpha e to the power minus ei upon kt, which is given by equation number 20. Equation 19 gives the distribution of Ni particles, and equation 20 gives the distribution of total n particles in all the energy level. Now dividing equation 19 by 20, we get, here we see that e to the power minus alpha, e to the power minus alpha, this is common in both and does not depend upon the energy level. So both the term will cancel. So we'll get Ni upon n equal to Gi e to the power minus ei upon kt divided by summation Gi e to the power minus ei by kt. And this is equation number 21. Thus we see that this equation gives the general form of Maxwell distribution law, which is given by Ni upon n is equal to Gi e to the power minus ei upon kt divided by summation Gi e to the power minus ei upon kt. And using this equation, we can get the fraction of total molecules in the ith energy level. The quantity in the denominator, summation Gi e to the power minus ei upon kt, is represented by q and is called partition function, which can be written as q is equal to summation Gi e to the power minus ei upon kt from the limit is 0 to infinity. Now this partition function is a great analytical tool in statistical thermodynamics. So this is all for today's class. In next class, we will see the details of other statistics and partition function and its relation with other terms. Thank you very much. So we will see the other types of statistics and details of partition function and its relation with various terms in next lecture.